Well, good evening and welcome to About the Valley. And my guests tonight are from the school department, of course, Dr. Stickney and Mr. Lebrasseur, James Lebrasseur. And they're here. We want to talk about school, the new school, possibly. And because I think there's a lot of talk about it. And the problem that comes out is there's a lot of talk, excuse me, I got a rough throat here. My allergies are kicking in. So maybe spring is
That's
finally
good.
here.
It is. I think it is here.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm getting tired of snowstorms.
No
But,
more snow days, by the way, just saying.
Okay. But anyway, you get a lot of disinformation because it gets on the net. People actually start making comments on Facebook. And how do you back it up? Nobody can back anything up. You know, you can say anything you want.
Right.
So I want to get to the truth. And so then you get a chance to call up and you can ask those questions directly. Unfortunately, the chairman of the building committee is not here. He couldn't make it, but he could answer some questions as well.
Yeah.
But why don't we get right to the heart? The one thing that I keep hearing is, why didn't you go with Plan B?
So Plan B was keep it at the size of the current Balmer School, and the one option was to keep the existing building, renovate it, and add on, because both schools, both Balmer and NES, are undersized according to MSBA's guidelines and how much space they think a school needs to do the work that we do. So it would need to be a larger school, but it was a renovation and renovation and addition. And I think, I mean, there was a lot of debate about that. We had, I don't know, we started with maybe 8 or 9 designs. We whittled it down to 3 or 4. Then those sort of ballooned back up to 6.
Well,
Yeah.
let's clarify now. If you did that,
Yep.
NES would still be in existence.
NES would still be
Yes.
there. We would
Okay,
still
so
have
it
all.
would be
yeah.
it wouldn't be a consolidation of the
No.
two.
Correct,
And I
just
think-
grades 2
right.
through 4.
So
And
there
I
was.
think that to be clarified is there's a big difference right there.
Right, we would replace Balmer only, impact the Balmer students only, and we would still have an issue with NES, which would have to be addressed at some time in the not too distant
'Cause
future.
there's necessary renovations needed there.
Absolutely, they're in
Yes.
very similar. Their conditions are very similar. If you look at some of the photographs and the pictures of the state of the buildings, they're very similar. They were built around the same time. That we have the same challenges in terms of
Well, he
the
built
space.
NES. The original
The
building
original.
is much older.
Right.
That's going to be close to 100 years old.
Thought it was 50s, but I could be
I think
wrong.
one of the cornerstones says 1956, I believe.
Oh, okay. So
But it's had a
But it
couple
did
of
have-
additions
yes.
too. But they're both in pretty similar states, so.
I wonder, that was St. Patrick's Parochial School.
Yes.
This one down here was 1923. I would think it's not that far off,
I don't know, I thought it was 50s, but
unless
But we had-
it was a new school built to replace one. I don't know.
perhaps.
I don't know the history about
Yeah.
that building.
But we have some of the same challenges at that school too. So I
Right.
think after a lot of discussion and seeking input, the committee felt that, to consolidate, there's efficiencies there from not only from, potentially an operational standpoint down the road, but the process. You wouldn't have to go through the process again of this whole MSBA process and design and architect. We could do it all at once. There's, who knows what costs are going to be like down the road when we go to look at another school. So I think the committee felt, and the feedback that we got was overwhelming, that it was the right thing to do to tackle both of these problems at once.
And it would free up the space and the building to vote as surplus and give back to the town. So all of that NES space, as well as the rental property that we pay.
Right.
To
Well, the
St.
rental
Patrick's.
party would revert back to the church,
Yes.
and
Yep.
they could do whatever they like.
Yes.
They tore down the building they had there,
Right.
so they can use it for parking or whatever they want to use it for. But you wouldn't have to pay them rent any longer.
Right.
Correct.
Close to $30,000 a year.
Yes.
There's a savings right there.
Exactly.
But I said too, I think it's cheaper to operate one building than it is to operate 2 buildings.
Yeah.
We will definitely have more efficiency, especially from a staffing perspective
Right.
and a programmatic perspective.
The building will be larger. I mean, square footage wise, as I said, both schools are undersized, so so the building will be larger, so potentially the costs aren't gonna be necessarily cheaper. And that's actually something that we're looking at. We're gonna start to see the real details of the budget at our meeting next week. We received some initial documentation over the week, and that's something that we're gonna dive into thoroughly next week.
Well, right away, you build the building more efficient
Yep.
Yes.
as far as heating and cooling go.
Yeah, that's one of the things that the architects have talked about. Those current buildings, heat pretty much comes in and goes out, and
Right.
the heat from the sun in the hotter days just heats those rooms up. There's nothing preventing the environment either way, in or out. So
Single pane windows, cracked in some cases.
Now, is there a projection for a larger student body in the future?
We have been, when they did the estimate, they actually do the estimate out 5 to 10 years. And then we
Right.
had the opportunity to say, we agree with this based on projections in town. So we did work with the town planner in terms of looking at permits that were open, old
Right.
permits that could be renewed.
Right.
The projection right now for that building is 1,030. And yes, there is some room for growth, because we did go back and petition that even though right now we seem to have less students in enrollment, with the new building, historically, more students will move into town.
Right.
So, who's to say in 10 years that population doesn't start to increase again? So you never want to build a new building and have it be too small right from the beginning.
We had a huge surge in the 90s.
right.
So we do have room for growth.
I think 21,000 is a maximum growth, I think, that we could reach.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for overall population.
Yeah.
And we're at, what, 15 now? So we're talking about another 6,000.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if we'll hit that, but I got to say, there's a project coming up. It's over 55, so those always make it a little easier on the school system.
Not right. Not so much more students coming in. for
Right.
sure.
Right.
But you have to think to the future, and what do we have? Now, we're at over 60% reimbursement now, right?
Yes.
And you didn't start out at that.
No, we started out at 57 with the points that we're earning. It appears right now that we're at 63.73%.
Oh, see, 1% is a lot of money when
Yes.
you're talking millions of dollars
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign right there.
Yeah.
And, here again, are those numbers going to be there in the future?
You mean the reimbursement numbers?
Yeah. I mean, Uxbridge burnt themselves.
Yeah.
They argued for years and years and years, and then they ended up getting a lot less reimbursement.
Yeah. Yeah. It probably costs them more to build the building too.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Building costs never go the other way.
Right.
They
No.
always go up.
Right.
We get a call here right away,
That's
see?
early.
Yes, I knew he would.
Okay, whenever they get ready.
You're
We
on.
are ready.
You're on.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
I'd like to start out thanking the entire school district and the entire school district family, and you, Harry, and NCTV for the everything you do for the town and the excellent show tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, this is the easy part. Those people that put this plan together, I don't care what anybody says. A lot of hours go into it. You didn't do this in 10 minutes.
Right. And what I would like to start off about tonight, Harry, is there's this rumor going around town that the school district deferred on capital improvements for the for school maintenance or capital improvements for the schools. And it's always been my understanding that capital improvements are the town's responsibility. And and also I think a few years ago, the town manager finally created a maintenance account by the solar farms in town that will help the schools out also. So I think, if the town decided to defer maintenance on the schools for many years, you remember that old advertisement, Harry, that sometimes pay me now or pay me later. and the bill is coming due, and it was not the school. The school district is not responsible for capital improvements. The town is.
Well, that's true, and I know what you're saying, and I heard it said that the school committee didn't do their job on doing maintenance over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the fact that it was found that the school is too small as it is.
Right.
Can I also just add that we recently, we were just talking about the increase in our reimbursement percentage. Part of what increased is they give you a certain amount of points based on your maintenance record. And I think the max was 2. And we got about 1.6, I want to say.
Yes.
So the state recognizes that
You're only
that
4/10 behind the max.
Right, so we have
It was above average.
they thought we had
Yeah.
a good maintenance
Right.
record, and I think our staff over the years has done an incredible job with.
Yes, I agree with you, Mike, and I think they looked at it that you guys been trying to put a shine on a sneaker for a long time, and I think they appreciated that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's another good point. And another rumor floating around town is that the school district may have got some stimulus money, and that it wasn't put towards maintenance. Now, I'm under the understanding that all money comes into the general fund and then is appropriated at town meeting. So, I mean, if there was money that came in, that would have been appropriated by the town meeting, the democratic process. So I don't know what exactly that's about, Harry.
Well, no, you're talking about the stimulus that took place, and I'm trying to think of a year, under the Obama administration when he first came
Right,
in.
Harry.
Well, some of that money could have been earmarked. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of times money coming from the federal government or the state is earmarked to certain projects. You can only do certain things with it.
Mhm.
And that doesn't go through town meeting because it comes in with a regulation, with an earmark on it, and you have to use it for that specific use.
And one thing, the legislature's a little sneaky sometimes. I believe if you look back, they knew that we were going to be getting some of this federal stimulus money, and I think they cut back Chapter 70 a little bit.
Yes.
So there was absolutely more money in that year or two, but it wasn't like 100% on top of what we would have gotten without it. They played with those numbers a little bit.
It was somewhat of a shell game that year.
I mean, not all of it, like I said, but there certainly was an adjustment on what the state kicked into the school districts in that. I think it was maybe over a 2-year period that happened.
And it did come with some strings attached as well.
Right. So thanks for the excellent clarification on that, because like I said, there's been a lot of rumors about this, all the stimulus funds, and you really shed some good light on it here tonight.
Well, this is why I invite them on, because you like to clear up the rumors and get it right from the source.
Mm-hmm.
Because that goes on all the time. I mean, I've been sitting on boards now for many years, and it's amazing how many people think that we're all out there conspiring. What am I conspiring for?
Right.
Yeah. You know?
All
Somebody
the
told me,
personal gain that you've gotten, right?
Yes.
people say to me, I won't vote to re-elect you. I said, fine, I won't miss the paycheck either.
I mean, a lot of people also have to think about the possible repercussions if nothing is done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Unfortunately.
And now my understanding is it's $55 million to renovate the schools, and then it's like $56 million for a new school with $38 or $39 million reimbursement. Is that potentially correct?
I mean, I want to say it was 53 to 55 for the renovation alone, and then I mean, we're looking at $100 million-ish total project, but 50. I don't have the number in front of me, and it's going to change. I mean, we're talking roughly, but mid to high 50s.
Yes.
Town contribution. The rest would come from the state.
Right.
So you're in the ballpark, Barry. Absolutely.
This week, there's a meeting on Wednesday, this coming week, where we'll have probably the most solid figures
Oh,
put
excellent.
forth yet. And we also have a community forum coming up on Monday at the Senior Center at 6 p.m. So we'll have all of that information to share with the community, and pretty much that's the firm number that we'll be moving forward with.
Yep.
Right. I mean, that definitely makes more sense to build new if it's maybe $1 million more. So I mean that seems to be a no-brainer right there. But wait and see what happens. And just another thing now, how do things look? I heard the other night Senator Moore was talking about getting $30 per student. Do you think that might go higher, or is it too early to tell?
It's too early.
Right.
Yeah, the governor proposed 20, the Senate, many legislators, including all three of our two senators and our state rep, all signed on to advocate for 100, which is aggressive, would be great, but is aggressive. The Senate,
You know it's not going to happen.
yeah, the
Right.
Senate, no, the House Ways and Means just put out their budget yesterday, and they went to 30. I'm hoping that there's some debate to maybe push that up, and then when the Senate number comes out, one of them is usually always higher than the other, and then they negotiate it somewhere
Right.
in between. So I'm hoping that 30 is the base right now, and maybe we get a little bit more.
A lot is based on the fact that funds are coming in better than they expected.
Yes.
But there's concern that it's not going to keep up.
Right.
So all these things are going to be taken into consideration. And hopefully you get to 30 anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Because I think Mike might have gone to it was at the Wachusett Regional High School in Holden a few years ago, the school budget foundation, where they pretty much said the state was shortchanging all the municipalities, the school districts, about $1 billion a year. So hopefully, that our good senators and state representative will all take that into consideration. And what I'll do is I'll let somebody else call in, and I just want to say thank you again to the whole entire school district, and thank you, Harry and NCTV, for everything you do, and I hope everything goes smooth with this new building process. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I want to just follow up on something that he said, is that the meeting in Wachusett, which we've talked a lot about as a committee, about the foundation budget, which is how the state calculates what is needed for an adequate budget to run your school district, and they calculate that for every district. And the legislature created a commission in 2014 to study the foundation budget formula, and they reported in 2015 the $1 to $2 billion under calculating, and we're now coming up on 2.5 years, almost 3 since that, and the legislature's really done nothing to address that.
And so that figure keeps getting larger.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Go ahead, you're on. Oh, wait a minute. That speaker button sticks sometimes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
How we doing?
All right.
Hi.
Good. I knew you'd be waiting for my call, Harry.
Yes, Abby.
So you're getting it. First of all, Michael, I want to say if you get 2 votes on election day, it'll be your wife and me, and you can count on that. And I want to say that while you've been on the board, you have been one of the best school committee members that I can ever remember. You've always been a gentleman. You're very knowledgeable. You put in, I couldn't fathom how many hours you put in. So I just hope people appreciate the job you've done down there, whether I agree with you or don't agree with you. The effort and the honesty you've put in.
Well,
Now,
I really
I
appreciate that.
want
Thank
to
you very
get
much.
on to the maintenance.
Yep.
2 items, and Barry kind of touched on them because I hit on them last night. I saw at meetings where we got 1% extra for maintenance, and then it went to something like 1.57. Let's call it 1.6.
Mhm.
And that's because we did a good job maintaining the buildings. Okay?
Yep.
You agree with me?
Yes.
Yes, and
Okay.
the 1% was actually what we were hoping to get when we put together, if I'm remembering correctly about what you're describing, when you saw 1%
It
first.
was a conservative estimate.
Yes, that was our estimate as to, fingers crossed, what we would predict the MSBA would give us.
But
Worst case.
yeah, we're getting more because we've done a good job.
Yes.
But then again, every time people turn on a forum, they see picture after picture after picture of Obama that looks like a third world country. And that just didn't happen overnight. So people can kind of look at it and say, are they really that well maintained?
You're
And
right.
this isn't class size or specs that have to be met or the new technology, but some of that makes it look like they're not being well maintained, if you want to call it. So that's just something that people discuss when they see those same pictures over and over and over again. That just did not happen overnight.
Right.
And that's just a comment. Now, on the other end, on the stimulus, when Obama was in, was it 08, 09, whatever, I don't know how many years we got stimulus. Would you know, Michael?
I thought it was one, maybe two. There might have been there was a second
18
program the
months,
second
yeah.
year.
Yeah, it
So
wasn't more than two.
Yeah, it was one or two.
Okay. My understanding at that time, and I could be wrong, was there was a designated percent that went directly to the schools. It didn't go into the general funds, but it went to the schools. And one thing I remember very well was your school committee, that school committee, did not go out and hire new staff positions knowing that eventually there wasn't going to be that stimulus. You know, your group was not that naive and was very intelligent in doing that. But I'm wondering, when you got, let's say, extra money, how much did you put extra into maintaining buildings, even if it wasn't Bama, maybe at the middle school, or, you know what I'm saying? So, something where you can say,
Maybe Mike was saying that one of the things that happened was the state cut down their reimbursement. So when the stimulus came in, they cut back what they were going to give. So they had to use it to balance out the budget.
So some of that, there was definitely some of that. But one thing, we did create a program, the therapeutic program, which was created, obviously we had to invest in staff, but was to help us to support students in district as opposed to students who would need to go out of district. And that's something that has continued, and that's allowed us to, sort of manage some of that expense when a student needs to go out of district to receive services and support that we can't provide. There's, that costs a lot of money. So that was an investment we made that I think has been a good return for us.
So you cut down on the number of students that had to go out of district.
Yeah,
Yes.
and kept students in that
Yeah.
maybe would have gone out or brought students back over the, it's
Right.
been several years, so there's been a lot of iterations of that, but that was something that we did. I can't remember off the top of my head if and what went to maintenance. I'd be happy to look into that, but I can't remember that far back.
In all honesty, I was not here in Northbridge at that time, but with the stimulus money, I know for a fact that money that was earmarked to the school, there was a requirement that we look at building programs for students or purchasing research-based programming to improve student achievement.
Yeah.
That they frowned upon actually taking that one-time money and putting it and using it toward a building instead of for students.
Money comes with earmarks.
Yeah.
You have no choice what to do with it. I mean, unfortunately, they don't just hand you a check and do what you want.
Oh, never.
No.
Right.
You got anything else, Abby?
no, I just wanted to get a clarification on that stimulus because people have talked about it, I've talked about it, and my comment was in regards to the additional money coming for the maintenance, which is great, but then when you see the pictures
Yeah.
of Bama
Yeah.
in the condition it's in, some people are turning around and saying, are they really well maintained? And, I'm not trying to be critical, but it's a legitimate question to a certain degree.
Well, everything wears out.
And listen, Harry, you and I are wearing out.
Right.
And I think you raise an excellent point that we can seal floors and seal the cracks, but the investment of maintaining and renovating and putting in new heating elements and new roofs. That type of major purchase and maintenance has been put off for far too long because of the big price tags. So it's been much easier to, I think maintenance-wise, it looks good that we're changing filters and we're trying to maintain the shell. But yes, to your point,
But yeah, I know there's been things done. It was a number of years ago. He had to put a new floor in the gym at the Bomber.
Yeah, yeah.
and it's
Very
still
costly,
bumpy now.
and it's still did the same thing. Because it's damp.
Well, actually, we didn't put a new floor in. We just fixed a certain the section of it, but that
Yeah.
was something that had been put off for a while because the cost to do the whole floor, and we were able to. Director of facilities at the time found a vendor who could fix it without replacing it, so we were able to do that
Right, see,
cost
so-
effectively.
Yeah, see, I mean, you you do maintenance as cost effectively
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, how much you want to go to the town and ask for maintenance?
Right.
Then when you do that, they say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, you can't have it both ways.
I mean, I will say the last couple of years, the previous
I
town
was just gonna
manager
say
and the
that.
current town manager have really worked with us to come up with available funds, whether it's, through the free cash, each year to give us a little bit of money to address things that, whether it's a capital purchase or some sort of repair that we need to take care of, and that allows us to do that without dipping into the funds that would go into the
Right.
operational budget, because, if you look at our custodial maintenance lines over the years, it's not gone up. Certainly not gone up, so.
And with the heating issues we had this year and
Yeah.
at all the buildings,
Yeah.
middle school and even the high school.
Yep.
The high school is no longer new, and we do have to start investing some money
I
in
believe it's
renovating
almost,
those
what,
systems.
20 years old? Or
Almost.
2001
Yep,
opened up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not the new high school anymore,
No.
unfortunately.
It's certainly not. Well, listen, I want to say thank you for your time and explaining those couple of items to me, and I think a lot of people will also hear what you've had to say, or will hear what you had to say, and that will help explain some questions in people's minds.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
have a
you.
good night, and
Thanks.
thank you for having the program.
Okay, thank you, Ray.
Yep.
You know, one thing I heard that the finance committee, one of the members talked about a 35-year loan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which would bring the cost down a lot. Not the cost, but the effect on the tax rate.
Annual cost. Was that our meeting, or I wasn't at last?
It was the last
building
meeting, so I
committee
heard that it was at the last meeting.
Okay.
That was
Of
one
course,
of,
you do a 35-year, I won't be around to see it paid for.
well, and
I doubt it anyway.
It feels like permanent at that point, right?
Yeah,
we have already started those conversations with the town manager and Unibank as well, just to kind of get a game plan in terms of how this borrowing could work, because there are innovative ways
Well-
to maybe only finance parts and pieces as needed, so we can utilize if there's lower interest rates sooner, and we
Right.
anticipate the interest rates are going to go up by the time the project is done and we need to start paying.
well, look what happened with the high school.
We paid it off, almost 10 years early,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that we would still be paying,
Yeah.
or close to it.
Right. So, one thing that I didn't know before we got into this process, and I'm sure most people don't realize that the state reimburses you along the way.
As we
So
go.
it's not like,
Yeah.
we put up all this money up front and then we have to wait for it to come back. As we're getting invoices, paying
Yeah.
invoices, there's a whole system where money's coming back to us along
Mm-hmm.
the way. So as the superintendent said, maybe there are some creative ways to look at financing that takes that into
Well,
account
that's what happened with the
too.
high school, wasn't it? That there was a reimbursement, and that's how we got it paid off earlier.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
And the interest rate of 5% right now is very conservative.
Yes.
And actually, when we spoke to the woman at Unibank, she said that currently, if we were financing right now, we'd be at 3.15.
That's
So,
pretty darn good,
and actually, that kind of does speak to the sooner the better.
and that's fixed.
I can't answer that question. I don't want to say yes for
Because see, you
sure.
can get, they got
I believe
mortgages,
it
they got
was.
mortgages at 3%, but they're not fixed.
Right.
Right. No, I believe that was.
And also, you're gonna get an interest rate at that, it's gonna be for a shorter term, I think. If we did 35 years, I'm sure it'd be a lot higher because no bank's gonna take a chance that the interest rates are gonna go up and they're stuck in a
Right.
loan.
Right.
Yes.
So
No, we were talking about.
they get a higher amount. When the longer the term, the higher the amount.
Yeah.
That's why a 15-year mortgage, you can get a lower rate than a 30-year mortgage. Because they're thinking long-term.
Mhm.
Right. Sure.
But, you know, the thing is, we've gotta do something. And
the-
I
the-
realize that we got a situation, we're looking at a fire station.
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Need a fire station.
I'm disappointed in DPW. I think we didn't get a heck of a lot of building for what that's costing.
Yeah.
I go by there and I look at the size of the building, I say, yeah, it's not that big,
Right. Right.
you know?
Just in terms of our process, as I mentioned, we're at our next meeting, we're going to start digging into the budget, and then our final submission goes to the state sometime in early
May
May,
6th.
and then in June at their June board meeting, they will make their final vote.
Is this on the warrant? For the
There's
town
nothing
meeting?
on the warrant
No,
for the
Nothing on
spring.
this
It won't
warrant.
be till the fall.
And there's
So-
nothing on the ballot.
No. So once we get the final approval from the state in June, we'll know everything. We'll know the design, we'll know the cost, and that's what then we'll be moving toward the fall when we'll have to get both
Right.
town meeting and a ballot
Yeah.
approval of the project.
Now, if it goes on town meeting in the fall, that's October,
Yep.
late October, would be on the general election ballot,
It would
Most
be
likely.
most likely one of those fall ballots.
first
Yeah.
Tuesday in November.
Yep.
November 6th.
Yep,
I
potentially.
don't know what day
We
it
have to
falls
figure
on,
that, we have to figure the timing out, but that's definitely a possibility.
So, I mean, the turnout would be a lot higher than what, even a town election,
Right,
Yes.
because it's gonna be a gubernatorial election.
Yes.
Yep. A lot of things on the ballot,
Yeah,
couple of,
well, you got a gubernatorial race, you got a senate race,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, you got all the constitutional offices.
yeah.
So, yeah, as well as the legislature and,
Mhm.
yeah, so I mean, that's, it seems it's moving fast. It did move fast. I mean, I remember maybe a year ago, it just kind of, it was a concept out.
Yes.
I think it was 2 years ago,
2
the
years.
spring meeting 2 years ago was when the town first approved the funding
Right.
for the feasibility
Feasibility.
study.
Yeah,
So it's been 2 years since that point.
And so far, that's come in under budget as well. So there is some savings right
Oh.
now projected for that.
see, people make comments, but go down and get involved and see what it's like to be on these boards and do all the work and you don't get paid.
But just come to the forum and ask good questions.
April 23rd at
Well,
the
when you
senior
bring that up,
center.
I'd like to make this facility available for a forum where you could reach everyone in town.
Yeah.
Ooh, a televised
A
forum.
televised forum,
Yeah.
yeah.
We could do that for you.
We would love that some
No.
Thursday evening.
We
If
could
you'd
do it on
like us as
Thursday.
a show.
Bring in
Thursday,
the
or we could do it
architect,
on
the
a,
designer, I
Yes.
mean, the project manager.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And have them all here and answer
Yeah.
questions. We've got more than
And
a couple of
phone in,
calls.
if we could,
yeah,
yeah.
we could go for 2 hours. So they give plenty of time people to call in.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's usually, the
That would be
forums are usually
wonderful.
scheduled for a couple hours anyways. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yep.
Great idea.
No, we can talk about that.
Okay. And we do have, there is a page on our website where everything right from the very beginning, all of the presentations, the videos of all of the meetings,
All the documents that have been submitted to the
Yeah.
MSBA, like, the last submission, was it the PSR submission?
Were two
There are 2
binders.
binders of information, and all of that is available online. People can
Yeah.
go online and
Well,
see
that's the
everything.
thing, today is so much, communications available
Mm-hmm.
that you didn't have 20, 30 years ago.
Right,
Yeah.
Or even back when the high school was built.
right.
That's available now that you can put out there.
Yeah.
And if this concept goes through also, you gotta go through a process. The planning board will be overseeing it. Have to approve the building, the site. You have to do site plan review.
Mhm.
The building inspector there's a lot of people get involved. It's not just, this is not just done overnight.
Right.
You know, people concerned about where you're building it.
Mhm.
You have to do soil tests, you have to do,
And most of that's already in process and
Right.
progress. So we've met with the safety committee a few times, and they've been very involved and helpful in, giving feedback around the proposed traffic patterns, because
Yeah.
we know how bad the traffic is at Balmer and NES right now, and
Yeah.
especially at the first
well,
thing in
NES
the
is a
morning.
nightmare.
Yeah, it's not a
It's
great place for a
dangerous.
school.
No, it's a narrow street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No parking. There's really,
No
I mean, there's a
yeah.
parking across the street, but then you're talking about crossing the road with young
Yeah, and
kids.
it's a busy street because it's connected to Linwood Ave.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And parents with little preschoolers, and they have to load their babies in the stroller to just walk across the street to bring their child to school. So we know that having all of that on one site, we've been very thoughtful, and there have been numerous revisions in terms of traffic pattern and bus pattern, and having at least two entrances, maybe a different walking path for another entrance.
I mean, I don't want to pay more taxes. Anyone
does?
else does. I mean, I'm retired, well, semi. I just quit one of my jobs.
One of your jobs.
And it is expensive, there's no
Yeah.
doubt, and that's a big bill.
Yeah.
We know that.
But I mean, you have to educate your society. If people understand that, it's so simple. You know, they say, well, why should the elderly care? Well, you know what? Back when you were younger and you had kids, those elderly had to care.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, someday I'll be gone from here and someone else will have to care. Because it does happen. And you've got to update facilities. Education changes. I hear people say, oh, geez, I went to the Rockdale School up until the 6th grade. I mean, that was an old wooden building, no longer there because it was torched. But, I mean, yeah, I got to find education. But that doesn't mean you can do that today because things have changed a lot.
Well, and you raise a very good point that many people have said if you can build such a large building like an office building for a few $1 million. Why this building? Why such a big price tag? And I think just the fact that it's so regulated and so controlled with all of the systems that must be in place and the requirements and the health protocol and the ADA compliance, which is all very important.
Well, today you have issues with safety issues that you didn't have before
Exactly.
with accessibility.
Yeah.
You have to have
School
control
safety.
now on who can get in the building.
Yeah.
When I went to school, the doors were open. People could walk in and out. You
Right.
can't do that anymore. You have to have, unfortunately, I mean, we have to deal with reality.
Right. And then just protocols in terms of regulations where having so many restrooms, depending on the little ones, and having bathrooms in every kindergarten classroom. And that's
Yeah. Yeah.
specific regulations
And
that
now
wouldn't be built in an office building.
You know, you have to deal with handicapped. Like the Balmer School doesn't have an elevator.
No, neither does NES.
Yeah, so if you have kids that are handicapped, they can't use the upper classrooms.
Or when there are events where parents or grandparents come in,
Yeah.
they can't either.
They can't
Yeah.
go up to the 3rd floor to see
Right.
their 1st grade child read to
So-
class.
Right, so all these things have to be taken into consideration. Well, but I want to change the subject in a way because I think we kind of hit this pretty much. Something that I'm really hot on, and I think is a great concept, is what you're doing with the chamber. I think
We're
we
very
need
excited.
to get that out.
Okay.
Jeannie is phenomenal.
She's been pushing that for a while.
Yes, we are so excited to be part of that project
Yes.
with her. And we have worked very closely. It's actually a collaboration with Uxbridge Public Schools as well.
Yes.
So we are teaming up with
And I
them.
understand that Douglas wants in now.
Yes, they do. So,
See,
and that's
when you get a good thing,
fine.
everybody wants to join in.
The more hands, the more collaboration
Yes.
will help the students even more. So we're very excited about
Let's
this.
explain to the audience exactly what's going on here. You're going to offer, if kids don't get into Valley Tech, and we know it's limited,
Great
and
program.
kids that
yeah.
do want to get in there don't always get in there, this is going to be an alternative for them.
Yes, this is a program very similar in actually part of the career academies, where students with an interest coming to Northbridge High School will have the opportunity with this particular program to be involved in manufacturing, in a
Yeah.
manufacturing program. And we have worked very closely with Jeannie and business partners. They will have a satellite manufacturing lab down in the mill.
Yep.
We too at
In the
Northbridge.
Linwood Mill.
Yes, yep. Northbridge High School will also have, we're taking the wood shop, remodeling that, and with some funds that hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we should find out with Uxbridge that both sites have been deemed an innovation pathway program.
Grant money, right?
Grant money.
Yep.
People like to hear
Yes,
about grants.
$150,000 of grant money that will be coming in to help us put more equipment in this. Jeannie has matching funds as well. So
Yes.
we're looking at, we've had experts from the field and local manufacturers who will be coming in to work with our students to teach them the skills that they will need to go out and then be employed right in the community.
Now, are you gonna do the wood shop at Northbridge?
Well, we're using some of those machines, but we're actually bringing in some high-tech manufacturing machines as well. So
Well,
we will have,
is it going to be machine manufacturing?
yes,
Okay,
fabrication.
fabrication.
We will have.
Is Uxbridge gonna have a different program?
They're doing this as well. They're also working on some agricultural
Yeah, because the
technology.
way I understood it, that each school was gonna do a different type of program,
Yes,
but the kids could go to that school if they wanted that particular program.
yes. We're
So it's
gonna
like
be-
a campus. I've always said that we should look at our schools to becoming more like universities.
Yeah.
Where you have several schools on a campus,
Mm-hmm.
and you have different types of education.
They each can specialize in certain
Yeah.
areas. Yeah, makes sense.
Because I think that's what you need to do in high school now. I think you need to get more specialized to keep the interest.
Absolutely. So as Uxbridge is looking at the agricultural science piece, we'll be looking at the manufacturing piece, and we'll have students that will be able to enroll, Uxbridge students that may come over to
Right.
participate in our classes,
Yep.
and our students will do their class there. And then they'll have credit with our school, still be our student, but then we can all work together
Right.
and provide more.
As well as attending classes at the Linwood
Yes.
Mill, which Jeannie is getting that set up right now.
Yes.
And they're talking 3D printers.
Oh, amazing 3D and
Yeah,
laser
I mean,
printers.
Those things are unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're actually got 3D printers now that can print human organs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Really, you think
Yeah.
about it, it's something else.
Yeah.
But our innovation pathway will be technological. So it will be IT, computer assisted design, the fabrication, the manufacturing.
Yeah, so that's quite a good program. That's a great program.
It's
And it's a
exciting.
good way, I mean, your Career Academy program is fantastic. And I'm sure that it's helped to bring down the number of dropouts.
Yes, it has. We have more students graduating. This year we have our first students graduating from their academies, so that'll be very exciting. We'll have a special ceremony. They're all completing their internships and capstones now, so we'll have a presentation ceremony, and then we actually have more students that have applied this year. We're over 65 students that have applied for career academies and our Nichols College Academy.
Wow.
Where they can get college credit
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
through Nichols.
And
prior to going to college.
yes, and this year we also teamed up with QCC to pilot a program, an early college program. We didn't offer the classes during the school day, but we're looking at that model down the road. QCC paid for the credits for one course. We utilized grant money from the Innovation Pathway for another course. We have 8 students, 6 of whom are freshmen in high school, that have completed their first 3-credit course, and all freshmen got an A. They did computer information systems and introduction to psychology.
Wow.
And have,
Freshman, high school.
Freshmen.
Getting I
Yep.
mean, it's
Getting college credits.
yeah. I mean,
Yes.
that's something that's becoming more popular because obviously with the cost of
Well,
college
yeah,
education, if you can
knock
knock
off
out,
your cost of college,
Yes.
because you don't take that many courses now.
I mean, if you could get a semester under your belt before you even graduate from high school, the
Yeah.
long-term impact of that is
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's our goal, to provide more of those
Also, it
opportunities.
makes it easier to get into the college.
right.
And they're all transferable to any state school,
Yeah.
at least the state schools.
No, this is good. I mean, you can't expect kids to stay in school if there's nothing that interests them. If a kid's not looking to go to college, it's not, that's not on their mind. You have to offer something. And we do need kids skilled in manufacturing.
Yeah.
You talk to any of the industries, then there are.
Yeah.
We don't have big industries around like we used to, but we have a lot of small industries.
Yeah.
And they need people, and they can't find them.
Well, and even this week, we teamed up with Uxbridge. They had a job fair for our students that are not interested in attending a university or
seniors?
college. Yes, yep, for seniors that post-graduation, they might want to pick up some community college coursework, but in the meantime, they want to go to work. And we
Yep.
had local employers that came in and did interviews on the spot.
No,
So-
I mean, yeah, what a great
Yeah.
deal. I mean, you get out of, you graduate and you get a job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is what the future is. You know, you have to have collaboration between industry and
Yeah.
and the schools.
yeah.
I mean, the going back to the hub. I mean, it's two schools collaborating. Isn't BVT involved as well?
They will be involved.
They will be
yes,
involved.
yep.
We've got the chamber. You've got businesses. I mean,
Yeah.
you're bringing everybody together. So, and we've got support from the legislators are
Yes.
involved. So that's the
You know,
epitome of
you're going back to
collaboration.
Horace Mann came up with the public system because the industry, well, here we are in the heart of the Industrial Revolution, and people like the Whitens needed people who were educated.
Yeah.
Who could read,
Mhm.
who could read blueprints, who could do math, things like that. So they had to have a state, that's what the system came about for.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the manufacturers didn't have time to educate people to get them onto the job. They wanted to get them on the job.
Right.
So they came up with a educational system, which is still in existence.
And we're very excited because our NASA program also has now rolled down to Northbridge Middle School.
Whoa!
And we're working with the Global STEM Education Center, and we have students that have received grant money, and they have been working on a project at middle school and high school, and they're actually going out to Buffalo to present at a forum. And they've been working with Arizona State University. So,
Well,
so
you're
very
making
exciting.
a big trip tonight.
Yes.
You're on your way to China.
Expanding our horizons, yes.
That is amazing. Now, how did that come about?
We actually received a phone call that one of the professional development committees that I serve on as with superintendents is a global studies. So we discuss a lot and just look at programs that we can bring into our systems that will help our students think on a global scale and prepare them for a global
Right.
society.
Well, it is a global society now,
is.
and thanks to the internet, it's
Yeah.
even more so.
And last year we were fortunate enough to have 15 students from China that came and spent a week with us.
Yes.
Short term, but it was a wonderful experience. So around this time last year I received a phone call from a colleague that said they had already started a sister school program in China. They were trying to plan a trip and were having difficulty registering students. They needed a minimum of 10 and they had 8. Did we have any students that may want to participate? So I thought China would be a big trip. I wasn't quite sure, but I said certainly I'd be happy to see if any student wanted to participate. And we had 16 students sign up to go. So we're
Wow.
actually leading the field trip at this point.
You have 16 students going?
Yes.
Now, who is funding that?
That is self-funded.
So they pay their own way?
Yes, they do. Yep, they were able to set up payment plans,
Uh-huh.
and it's fully insured.
Yeah.
It is through
Great experience.
EF Education First out of Boston. They've been very supportive, and I'm very excited to lead this trip. And with such a great turnout, we actually thought this might be a great way to see if there was more interest. And we have a trip that will be leaving this time next year for London, Paris, Barcelona, and we have 41 students
Wow.
that are going on that
That
trip.
number's all Northbridge students?
Yes, it is. It is all Northbridge
Wow.
students.
And they pay their own way?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's a great experience. My son went to Paris with the French club. That was,
Yeah.
well, he's 43 now, so that was a while back.
And I've spoken with other people that said, "Oh, Northbridge High School, we went to Rome once." So we know that there's been traveling in the past, but
Yes.
in all honesty, I always thought that it was just so cost prohibitive that the students, it would be a stretch. And there's always concern about offering programs of this nature that have a large price tag and then having some students that can't participate.
Right.
So we did try to assist with some fundraising, and there is also, every student gets their own account with a portal that's similar to something like a GoFundMe page, where families for special occasions or birthdays, they can share the link with
Yeah.
aunts, uncles, grandparents, and they
Oh.
can put some money in their account to help.
But now you
So-
must get a better price too on,
The more students that go, yes.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you get a better price on your airfares, which is probably the biggest cost is the airfares.
Well, that's why we're leaving at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah. But
Yes.
at 5:30, flying out of Logan at 5:30.
Yes.
But then you're going to Newark, and then you got to fly from there directly to China.
Yes.
That is going to be I
So-
remember flying to Europe and flying back, and it was boring.
We leave Newark at 11:45 at noon tomorrow, and we fly for 13 hours. And when we land, it will be 12:30 Saturday.
Yes.
In
and they-
Beijing.
Yeah, because they were a day ahead
12
of us.
yes, they're
Once you
12
crossed
hours.
the international
Yeah.
date line.
So
Yeah.
we're
That's-
very excited.
Wow.
The
Now-
students will also get high school credit for this as well.
Oh.
And they can apply for college credit, and most of the students are. So we'll be doing coursework while we're there, visiting other schools.
Now, how long are you going to be there?
6 days, 2 travel days, 6 days.
And by the way, everybody, it's school vacation week.
Right.
Yes.
They're not missing any school.
One day of school, yes. One day
Right,
excuse.
one day,
Tomorrow
'cause
only.
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's school vacation week anyway.
Yes. And they're giving up their vacation. And many of them are bringing homework and projects because they still have AP projects to do. So
Ah.
we'll be doing some work while we're away.
Yeah. But it is quite an experience. I mean, to be staying in China and
Mm-hmm.
maybe you get a chance to see the Great Wall, which is,
We will be walking on the Great Wall. We will be
Ah.
in Tiananmen Square talking about lots of history, ancient history and modern day
the
history.
only man-made object that is visible from space,
The Great Wall.
the Great Wall. It's quite a feat.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you think about, and you're going to get to see that as well as, you see, you're probably going to be more amazed by the fact how cosmopolitan China has become.
Yes. We know going through Shanghai, they say it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. You know, because we're so used to the old style,
Mhm.
and it's not like that anymore.
No.
And in fact, China now has, the number of vehicles is increasing faster than in the United States.
Wow.
Because their economy is growing faster and they're earning more money, even though it's like a communist capitalistic society now.
Yes.
It's strange how they have developed. Because we saw communism really doesn't work. But this is not really communism anymore. They actually can make money, and they've got millionaires now in China. So
No, it was quite an eye-opener when we explained to the students that to be prepared that they would not be able to access social media there. and
well, that's the
The
only
fact
thing.
that-
Yeah, they regulate their internet
Yeah.
extremely regulated.
yes.
So and you got to be very careful. But
Mhm.
and you know the government watches. The government is everything, and you know. Here we look at the government as our servant, which sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. But over there, the government is their god.
Right.
That's one thing that communism does retain.
So
But it is
some of our
amazing.
students have actually, we did exchange names, and some of our students have already received emails from their partner that they'll be placed with in high school over there. So
Wow.
very
They're
exciting.
going to attend school with them for the week?
Yes, not for the whole week.
Well, a part of it.
Yes, yep.
That's,
And it's a very cultural tour. We're doing, we get a calligraphy an afternoon calligraphy lesson, Tai Chi lessons, very artistic.
Well, you know, thanks to the British, because, you know, one time the sun never set on the British Empire. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was Israeli came up with that. But anyway, because of that, they had so much control over the world. English became a standard language for the world, and you'd be amazed when you get there how many of those kids speak
Yes.
English, and quite well.
It's required in school.
Yeah.
In fact, they asked us if we had a Mandarin program, and no, we're still trying to get Spanish back into 8th grade.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a universal language now.
Yes.
I mean, when I was in Europe, and I was in Europe 50 years ago, mostly a lot of people spoke English because they were taught it in school. Because it's used by all the airlines. All the airline
Yeah.
pilots are required to speak English to land all over the world and things
Well,
like
that's good to know if we get
Yes.
into trouble.
that. Okay, I think we got to wrap it up.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh, yeah, because we don't have enough. The
The Man Cave
Man
show's
Cave
not
guys
on.
aren't
Oh,
live tonight,
excellent.
so we got a little more time. Well, I wish you luck on your trip, but we got to
Well,
put
thank
together
you.
this. Get your forum in here.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds great.
That would be great. Thank
That would
you.
be great. We can set up a table. I don't know how many people we have on that committee. Whatever, we can set it up.
Okay. We would have at least,
If you want to bring charts, and we can work that out and
Sure.
everything.
we have one OPM, the Operation Project Manager,
Yep.
2 with the architect team, and then at least 2 to 3 for the construction manager at risk.
Yeah, that'd be
And
great.
then Joe.
And
Yeah.
It's a good way to get the information out.
Absolutely.
We would appreciate that. Thank
And don't
you.
forget, everything we do goes online after.
Yeah.
So it can be accessed at any time. You can link it, whatever you want.
But in the meantime, we'd love to have people come to the meeting on the 18th at
Yes.
Northbridge High School in the Media Center at
April-
6:30.
Oh, the regular meeting,
Yeah,
right?
regular meeting next week when the CM will be there, construction manager, and then our forum on the
You can
23rd.
get some pretty good turnouts at your forums.
We
haven't you?
have,
Yeah, our
This-
last one, the last one was at the library.
yes.
And that was we were not sure what kind of a turnout, but we actually had a really good
Mm-hmm.
turnout at that. It was nice to go somewhere different other than I mean, obviously it's important to be in the schools, but we
Right.
wanted to branch out and try to reach some different members of the community. So that was a great idea.
Okay. I think I better wrap it up now, huh, Aaron? One more minute? I'm not used to even giving you more time. Usually tell me, wrap it up,
Hurry
wrap it up.
Get off.
Anyway, nothing is going to happen until
The
October.
fall. Yep. I mean,
Right.
we'll have a lot of really detailed information after June.
Yeah.
That's when that would probably be the best time to do it. After that, kind of.
And what's the date on that?
I want to say the 26th or 27th. It's late June, I think, is their board meeting.
Yes.
that sound right to you?
It does sound right
So
to
we're
me.
planned for September.
That would be great. And hopefully, we plan to have more forums throughout the summer.
Right.
Because we know summer's a busy time, people are coming and going, but the information will be solid.
Yeah.
The only thing that could be in flux again is the bank interest rate, and we won't know that for a while.
Right.
So we're going in high at this point, and it can only
But
get better.
Come September, we should have some good information.
I hope so.
Okay, so we'll have a forum come September. We're going to put that together.
Great.
We'll see you next week. My guest is going to be Senator Mike Moore. We got him in because it's school vacation week and they're not in session.
Ah,
Good timing.
Okay, see you next week.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks.
That's all right.